Have you ever noticed how, as soon as you overthink something, it starts falling apart? It's not because you lack skill or talent, it's because too much thinking ties your mind into knots. Let me tell you a story about a man who learned this the hard way. This man was no ordinary person. He was known far and wide as the magician of locks. With his exceptional talent, he could open any lock, no matter how old, rusty, or complex. Locks that had been abandoned for decades, with keys long lost, would snap open in seconds when he worked his magic. People were fascinated by him. They invited him to exhibitions to demonstrate his skills, handed him ancient locks as challenges, and applauded as he effortlessly unlocked each one. His fame soared. He became a regular face on TV shows, sharing stories of his rare talent. Wherever he went, people marveled at his expertise. Over time, his confidence grew. He began to believe there was no lock in the world he couldn't open. One day, a wealthy businessman approached him with a unique challenge. "There's a grand competition happening in the city," he said. "I want you to participate. If you succeed, you'll win a prize of 10 lakh rupees." The magician was intrigued and excited. He accepted the invitation without hesitation. A competition? He thought it would only solidify his reputation further. On the day of the event, the atmosphere was electric. A large swimming pool was set up as the stage. In the center of the pool was a sturdy, sealed metal box. A crowd of spectators surrounded the pool, their phones out, ready to record every moment. The magician arrived and cheers erupted. He waved confidently, smiling at the crowd. The organizer approached him and explained the challenge. "You'll sit inside this box," the organizer said. "We'll submerge it in the pool. Your task is to unlock it and swim out before you run out of air. If you're in trouble, press the emergency panic button and we'll pull you out immediately." The magician laughed. "That's it? I've opened locks underwater before. This will be over in seconds." The crowd clapped and cheered as he climbed into the box. Inside, it was cold and dark, but he felt no fear. This was his domain, his skill. He gave the thumbs-up signal and the box was lowered into the water. As the box sank to the bottom of the pool, silence fell over the crowd. All eyes were on the magician. Inside the box, he took a deep breath and began his work. But something was different this time. No matter what trick he tried, the lock wouldn't budge. He used every technique he knew and every tool at his disposal, but the lock remained stubbornly shut. Sweat began to form on his forehead, even in the freezing water. His hands trembled. "What's going on? Why isn't this working?" As the seconds ticked by, panic set in. The silence inside the box was deafening, and the pressure of the water above him felt heavier with each passing moment. "What if I fail? What if I can't do this? Everyone is watching. They'll all laugh at me." The more he thought, the worse it got. His chest tightened and his breathing grew shallow. His mind raced with fear and embarrassment. "I've opened 1,000 locks. Why can't I open this one?" He tried again, but his hands had become clumsy. His thoughts were louder than his instincts. The harder he worked, the further success seemed to slip away. Finally, his air was running out. In that moment of desperation, he realized something. "If I don't stop overthinking, I'll lose my life over a lock." With shaking hands, he pressed the panic button. The team above acted quickly, pulling the box out of the water. As the lid opened, the magician gasped for air, his face pale with shame. He could hear murmurs from the crowd. He avoided their eyes and his confidence shattered. "They must think I'm a fraud," he thought. He shifted his weight inside the box to sit up, and suddenly, the door swung open. Stunned, he stared at the open door. The lock had been a trick. It wasn't real. The organizer approached him with a knowing smile. "It wasn't about the lock," he said gently. "It was about your mind. You let overthinking become your real obstacle." The magician was speechless. He looked at the crowd, not with shame, but with gratitude. "Today, I've learned the greatest lesson of my life," he said, his voice trembling. "Overthinking can make even the simplest things impossible. Sometimes we need to trust ourselves and act without fear. In life, The greatest battles are often fought in our minds. Overthinking magnifies small problems, creates imaginary fears, and keeps us from achieving our goals. Whether it's a relationship, a dream, or a challenge, trust yourself and take the leap. Simplicity in thought leads to clarity in action. Remember, the lock you're struggling to open may not even be locked. It's just your mind holding you back.